And today, with all the modern technology and computers, we could have two currencies circulating in this country. We have currencies circulating, and the values are changing every minute throughout the world. So I would re-legalize gold and silver so that people who are tired of saving their money in a dollar standard could save in a gold standard.
When an investment bank like Bear Stearns is starting to go under, and all of a sudden the Federal Reserve prints more money and lends it to J.P. Morgan, does that hurt us? Does that hurt us as a nation?
Oh, it's a disaster, and it hurts one group of people more than the other. It will, it will be successful to some degree. J.P. Morgan will benefit, and maybe some of the people at the Stearns Company, and yet the people who suffer the most are the ones who get to use the money down the road, because they have now probably pumped in close to $400 billion into the economy trying to keep this bubble going. But when they do dilute the value of the money, another group of people get higher prices. So a lot of conservatives will argue, well, the poor people, they never pay income tax. They don't really count. They pay the Social Security tax, but what they really get hit with is the inflation tax, because their inflation rate might be 15%. They might only have medical bills and repair bills and gasoline bills and food bills to pay, and that rate of inflation is much higher. So when they have to pay those higher prices, they are just paying the consequence of diluting the value of the money. So that's what is so wicked about inflation. It helps one group at the expense of other. It usually wipes out a middle class. If you think of the third world nations, they don't even have middle classes. And this is why it was so bad in Germany in the 20s, is the middle class got wiped out. Mexico, you hear about the devaluation of the peso. The middle class lose all their savings. And this to me is so unfair and so damaging, and people are just starting to catch on. So I think our campaign has helped. We get a lot of interest expressed on our college campuses now about the Federal Reserve and monetary policy, which pleases me to no end, because that's something I've talked about for so many years.
Congressman, what is your take on what so many of us believe may be the long-term plan for this planet, and that is to try to get us all under the umbrella of a one-world government? And, there's some who even theorize at this point that trying to collapse the American economy is one way to do that. Are you a believer in that possibility?
Well, I generally no, but I guess over the years, when I don't want to believe bad things, I more or less come around to looking at the evidence and come and thinking, holy man, maybe it is. It used to just bother me to no end to think about how we might have been maneuvered into World War II.
Right.
And you read these two sides of it, and I said, especially as a young person, and when I was in the military, I said, oh, no, there's no way our government could actually do that. Then later on I get to thinking, well, maybe what they do is they rationalize it is in our best interest, to get into World War II. It is the best for the world. And then they come up with rationalization. The suggestion that they'd have a world collapse, of the financial system, still is a pretty overwhelming assumption, because it seems like the establishment has so much control anyway. It looks like having the Federal Reserve System and having the control of the banks and having control of the government, what more do they want? Why do they need a financial collapse? Because that's risky for everybody. So I guess I don't have a final opinion about that, but I guess nothing will be a surprise to me.
We've had strange bedfellows over the years, Congressman. Of course, so many firms and individuals supported Adolf Hitler in the 30s. Of recent times, as a government, the CIA supported Osama bin Laden, backed him, financed him to get the Soviets out of Afghanistan. The relationships are too weird when then all of a sudden you see these things unfold later on, don't you think?
Oh yeah, it's some people argue it can't they can't be that stupid to make so many mistakes. There has to be some plan and plot behind all this, because they do it over and over again. But just with my experience in Washington, there's a lot of ignorance there, and I say that in the technical sense. I mean, they just don't know. People go along with so many things. Take monetary policy. Most members of Congress don't really know, nor do they care about how the monetary system. They'll come up to you and they say, I want to ask you this about the Federal Reserve because I don't understand anything about the Federal Reserve, and they're telling me the truth, and there's some of them are on the banking committee,
which is scary.
Oh yeah, it is. But others, there must be always a smaller group of people, that orchestrates, the whole plan, who devised the Federal Reserve System. That wasn't done, just out of ignorance, and they knew what they were doing, and they were looking to have control. So it is foreign policy, though, is the one that really bothers me the most, because you already mentioned some of the ridiculous things that we have done. I mean, first we're an ally with Osama bin Laden, and he's our arch enemy. And then we helped and we were friends with Saddam Hussein. Actually, we started a lot of these radical Islamic schools in Saudi Arabia, and our CIA was involved with that. I mean, we helped radicalize that. But the logic there was that if we radicalize the Islamists, they would be, a help in fighting the communists.
Exactly. Hey, Congressman, stay with us. We've got to take this quick break. We'll be right back with you with Congressman Ron Paul. We'll open up the phone lines. I want to talk with him about the Internal Revenue Service and a few other issues, and then we'll take your calls, too. I'm George Noory. This is Coast to Coast AM. We're going to take your calls in just a moment with Congressman Ron Paul. They've got a great new promotion for you for the After Dark newsletter starting right now. When you subscribe to the After Dark newsletter, in a couple ways you can do that. 1-888-727-5505, or you can go online at coasttocoastam.com. You will receive a free CD, a little nominal shipping and handling fee, but a free CD called J.C. Webster Rants. That's right. Accumulation from Art's days, mine, Ian's, of JC phone calls. I want to give it to you as a gift when you subscribe to the After Dark newsletter. So take advantage of it. The promotion just started today, but you're going to love the CD. And welcome back to Coast. I'm George Noory with Congressman Ron Paul. Congressman, I've got to tell you, of all the politicians, you are one of the few who is truly loved, respected, and admired. It's truly amazing to see that happen.
Well, it makes me feel good, and I appreciate it.
Why aren't the other candidates utilizing some of the things that you've talked in your campaign, that you've said on this program? I mean, it's common sense. It's American. It's what people should be talking about and doing. Why aren't they doing this?
I think we're challenging the status quo and the establishment. I mean, if it's the Federal Reserve, it's the banking system. There's a lot of interest involved. If it's foreign policy and we say we don't need quite this expenditures on all this activity around the world, then you're challenging the military-industrial complex. If you're challenging the medical system, when we've had managed care now for 35 years, and now they're talking about going to socialized medicine. Well, the drug industries and the insurance companies and HMOs, they all like that. So there's a lot of special interest, and the special interests pour in the money. We did pretty well, raising money in our campaign, but it was all from small donations, individuals. But these other campaigns will raise $100 million, and it doesn't come from small donors. Well, some of it would, but most of it comes from the special interests, large corporations that do the bundling. They put all their executives together, and they can go out and still get $1 million or $2 million at a clip. But it comes from the special interest, and everybody comes to Washington because Washington controls everything, whether it's the tax code or the regulations or all the contracts the government's going to let. So they're not about to take this on because it's very unpopular. And the major media is all interconnected there. The media is interconnected with the military-industrial complex, and therefore a candidate like myself it can get easily marginalized, whether it's at the debates or on the
That's
evening
true.
news. And so, in spite of all those shortcomings, because of the radio talk shows like yours and like on our internet, we've been able to reach a lot of people, and I think it's been in some ways an equalizer for us, and we've been able to get a message out. We haven't been able to achieve the top number of votes, but I think we did get a message out to a lot of people.